What's going on, everybody? This is the Grindhouse Syndicate horror movie podcast, and today we are going to cover 2007's Vacancy. Man, is it just 2007? 2007 or 2006? Man, we're doing a whole episode on this, and I don't even
2007.
I'm pretty sure it's 2007.
I hope both of us didn't get it wrong.
It's a 2007 slasher film directed by Nimrod Antel and written by Mark L. Smith. Mark L. Smith sounds like a witness protection name.
That's the fakest name ever made.
Yes. Maybe he used to be in the mob. Maybe he used to do snuff films and got caught by the FBI, and he snitched on everybody and got a new name, testified, and wrote this fucking movie. I bet you that's what happened.
That might be accurate.
Damn, we can end the episode here. We've solved this mystery. But yeah, it stars Kate Beckinsale, Luke Willson, and Frank Whaley. It was released in April 20th of 2007. It's 85 minutes long and has a budget of $19 million. Had a box office of $35.4 million. How many times do you think you've seen Vacancy?
Probably 3 times.
Like in your whole life?
I think 3 times.
Wow. I feel like I've seen Vacancy. Oh, man. Probably like 10 times, 13 times. Well, yeah, it used to be one of the movies that would just like kind of come on like back when we used to watch cable.
Yeah.
It was like a movie that, it was like a movie that would be on like cable TV randomly. And, you kind of like channel surfing Friday night or something, it'd be on, and it was always a movie I would watch. It's a solid movie every time. I don't know, maybe it's like a nostalgia thing too, I guess.
I agree. I mean, I think it's a fantastic movie. I just feel like I have definitely not seen it 13 times.
I've seen it many times.
I've probably seen parts of it maybe 5 times, but sat down and watched the whole thing through, I don't know, 3 or 4 times.
But yeah, $35.4 million on a $19 million box office. I mean, that's not spectacular. I mean,
I would take that.
I mean, $19 million. That's for a horror movie. That's pretty good budget, and you got some pretty big names attached to it. So I mean, that's probably where a lot of the budget went.
That's almost doubling your money, though. I mean, I feel like that's about the average movie. There's a lot of movies that bomb that take that average down. I feel like probably about doubling your money is pretty good. If I was a studio, I'd be happy with that.
I don't really know. I don't know how movie studios really look at, something like $35.4 million. Like movie studios nowadays, like with these, like especially superhero movies, make $100, $200 million off of one movie. I know horror movies don't normally pull that kind of money, but $35.4 million, especially back in 2007, pretty decent chunk of change. But I do believe this is like a movie that kind of picked up more of a cult following kind of after its box office. I know it got played a lot on like, TV. It kind of did fairly well with its, DVD sales and stuff. So I feel like that's really its heyday was not necessarily in the theaters, was more at home box office.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't even remember it coming out in theaters, but it's a very solid movie.
It's not streaming anywhere currently. We actually had to pull out the old DVD. We got the DVD. I don't even know if they have a Blu-ray. They might have a Blu-ray right now.
I can tell you when I bought this, they didn't have a Blu-ray. I don't think. I've had this one for a long time when I first started building the collection.
Yeah,
but they probably do have it in Blu-ray at this point.
Well, a lot of movies like this are kind of, unless, some company comes out with like a remastered Blu-ray version, a lot of these movies are kind of out of print, and you kind of have to find them at, like a place that has like sells like used DVDs, or you find it in those packs that have like 7 or 8 movies
Yeah.
attached to it. I know it's definitely kind of grouped in with some of those, but I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. We're still just kind of rolling with the old DVD copy, which worked pretty well for me. A movie like this, I really don't necessarily need it to be a Blu-ray. I really, I don't know. It's like a nostalgia thing where I almost kind of need it to still look like not 4K. Like this is not a movie I need to see in 4K. It's mostly at night. The hotel is ugly as fuck. Why do I
Yeah.
want to see that in
Creepiest
4K?
hotel.
The coolest part of the movie, which is the snuff films, are in
VHS.
VHS.
Yeah.
They're already shitty. So I don't necessarily see a reason for it. But hey, if you come across it at a good price, get it. We are big time on the physical media. You'll hear us bring that up many times. Go get you a physical copy, because if we wouldn't have had a physical copy, we would not have been able to cover this movie. Well, I guess we could have paid Amazon $6 or $4 to watch it for 24 hours, but I don't know. I'd just rather I mean, shit, the used copy is probably $5 at this point.
Yeah.
Probably what we paid for it. But yeah, let's get into the ratings. So Rotten Tomato is sitting at 55%. IMDb is a 6.2 out of 10, and Letterboxd was a 2.9 out of 5.
Yeah, those are some low ratings. I think
Yeah,
they underballed Vacancy on that one.
I think they're a little low. I mean, I'm not gonna say they're the Rotten Tomatoes is always kind of
Yeah,
drastically
it's
low.
not like an artsy movie. The Rotten Tomatoes never gives anything good ratings.
I'm not gonna say the IMDb is like drastically low, or the Letterbox. That
What
they're
was the IMDb?
6.2.
6.2.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not
it's
too
not
far.
super
I think it's
low.
a low balling it a little bit, but
Yeah, it's a little low for me, but I don't wanna say it's super far off. But yeah, let's you ready to get into the movie?
I am. Let's do it.
All right. Well, our main cast here is Luke Willson, who plays David Fox, Kate Beckinsale, who is Amy Fox, and Frank Whaley, who is Mason, the motel manager. You got Ethan Embry and Scott G. Anderson as the two killers. They're in the actual cast listing. They don't actually have names. One's listed the mechanic, and one is listed the killer. They keep it pretty simple there.
I feel like those two might have been stuntmen. I could see that being the type of cast where they just hire stuntmen for that because they don't have to act very much. Most of theirs is stunts and stuff.
Yeah,
Other than the mechanic,
yeah,
he has a little part, but kind of like the original Jason Voorhees were just stuntmen that
yeah,
they would hire. I feel like that's probably there's a good chance of that. I
yeah.
have to look that up and see.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't come across that in any of my research, but that is a really good point. I mean, it makes sense why you'd have stuntmen, because these guys are doing a lot of running, crawling. I don't think actors do a ton of that.
You getting hit by cars. No, definitely
No, they're not doing
not
that.
letting the Luke Wilsons of the world get hit by cars.
Yeah, I've seen that Ethan Embry. I've seen him in some other stuff. I can't really name it off the top of my head right now, but he looks familiar. But the Scott G. Anderson, he may be a stuntman. I don't know. But yeah, and early in the production, Sarah Jessica Parker was actually supposed to be cast as Amy Fox in this movie, but she ended up dropping out, and they ended up casting Kate Beckinsale instead. That's
That's
it.
probably a good thing. I think that would have been a much different feeling movie.
Yeah, the Sarah Jessica Parker. I think the only thing I've ever seen her in was Hocus Pocus, and she was in Hocus Pocus too, right?
Yeah, I think all the original witches were in the second one.
Yeah, I don't even remember the second one.
I remember they made a second
I
one.
do. Yeah, I
I remember
remember.
we spent like an hour and a half of our lives sitting down watching it, but I can't remember any of what actually happens.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus 3 actually just got greenlit, so guess there's going to be a third. I don't
Yay.
know. Yeah, I don't know who's going to be in it though. I kind of wish they'd have just left that one alone.
Yeah, that's one of those things. They're never gonna top the original, but they're gonna make money off the name. That's what studios do.
But yeah, I'm glad she dropped out. I thought Kate Beckinsale did a fantastic job in this movie. Besides the manager, the Mason, the motel manager, I don't know. Actually, I take that back. David Fox is a fantastic character. She she's all right. She does a great job in her acting. Not a huge fan of her character though, but she is a good addition to this movie, and I don't think that was a bad situation for them ending up with Sarah Jessica Parker dropping out.
Yeah, she did a fantastic job with Amy and David's relationship, especially early on in the movie. It's done really well.
Oh yeah, it's done really well, and we are really going to touch on that later, especially about why it went really well. But let's jump into this movie. So, starting off, our opening shot is a car driving down the middle of nowhere road. It's obviously very late at night. We got our two lead characters, the husband and wife, David and Amy Fox. Amy is awoken by David swerving, trying to avoid hitting a raccoon in the road. And after a bit of dialogue, it is very obvious that these two do not want to be in the car with each other.
Yeah, the writers of this clearly
Have
the
been
writers
married.
are married,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess sometimes, you guys are stuck together and you just don't really want to be there.
Yeah, this is one of the most realistic, like husband and wife at each other's throats that I've seen in a movie.
Yeah, they're very much just kind of almost just picking at each other. You know,
Passive aggressive,
oh
very
yeah.
snarky.
It's so well done that I feel the tension, and I'm not, like, obviously I'm not there, but it's almost like, like when, like, you get like people argue in front of you and you're just like, fuck, I wish I was not here.
That awkward shit.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, so it's done very well because I kind of get that awkward feeling of like, man, I wish she'd go back to sleep.
yeah. Wish I was somewhere else right now.
Yeah, man, fast forward through this. But yeah, so Amy asked David, why they aren't on the freeway, and David says, blah blah blah, like a wreck or something, and he decided to take the old shortcut. Man, the shortcut has gotten a many husbands in trouble. Just a many people in horror movies in
Yeah,
trouble.
horror movies never take the shortcut.
If you suspect that you're in a horror movie, don't take the shortcut.
Don't fucking do it.
Don't do it. Just take, matter of fact, don't even take the normal route. Take the longest route you can. Go all the way around. Just turn back. Just go back to where you came from.
Just go home.
Don't even go to where you have set out to go. Just go back. Yeah, I think that's probably the best advice we could give. But yeah, right after this conversation, we get our first hint that something has happened to their young son, and this is obviously why their marriage has become so sour. Right after this, they start having some car trouble, but luckily for them, they happen to be driving up on a very old and very creepy looking service station.
Yeah, don't stop here either. If you're in a horror movie and you come up on a place like this, I don't care if you're breaking down. Just get out and push the fucking car. Don't stop here.
Or sleep in the car, wait for the sun to come up. And also, I mean, when you look at a gas station like that, it's like I would know that there's nobody working. Like, that's a kind of gas station that if it is open, closes at 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it looks like nobody's worked there since 1963. Probably, if it's 2 in the morning, probably low chance of somebody actually being there working.
Oh, yeah.
But they broke down, so
They're desperate.
They just rolled in. So
They're desperate. So they come across this mechanic. Well, there's somebody there. That's, I guess that's probably
that's
a
red
bad,
flag.
yeah, it's a bad sign. But they come across this mechanic and he takes a look at their car and he does kind of a minor repair to it. They kind of let him over there fiddle around with their car without them watching.
I think he just diagnosed a bent fan blade.
Bent
is what
fan,
it was.
the old bent fan blade trick.
Mechanic that tells you your car is not working because of your bent fan blade. You should probably take that as a red flag as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes, he does this minor repair on it, and he said, "Hey, it'll get you to where you're going, or at least get you to the next town." He helps them with directions, and he offers them a sparkler. And I would say I would be pretty upset if someone lit a sparkler halfway inside my car.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that. I was thinking in the Jeep, if somebody lit a sparkler not only in my car but then held it down the side of my car, I would not be too happy about that.
Yeah, and this is I think it's a BMW. You know how BMW owners are, They got the leather, it's kind of a more classier car, and then you're going to turn around and basically light some sparks into the fucking car. But I guess they're grateful for his help and they just let it slide. They don't seem to be bothered at all by it. But when I seen that, I was like, fuck no. David and Amy, they drive off and they kind of continue to talk shit to each other. But very soon after that, their car completely breaks down and they are now stranded on the side of the road. You see when like David gets out and he goes to kind of look, that is a huge fucking flashlight that he's got. Like, good God, I haven't seen a flashlight that big, I guess since 2000, 2006,
Yeah,
2007.
that thing runs on like 8D batteries.
Oh yeah, it's
Like weighs 15
I'm
pounds.
surprised it didn't have like a Ghostbusters backpack with it.
You should have kept that for a weapon.
Oh yeah, you're right. That probably would have been a lot better than most of the stuff in that room. You've got this giant flashlight. You've got no LEDs back then. You've got no GPS. Dealing with a paper map.
The Atlas, the old Atlas.
Now they've got no phone signal. Like 2006 was like the fucking dark ages. Like compared to now, like just thinking about just something as simple as a road trip. And it's, we have these kind of luxuries now, like shit, when my fucking car breaks down, I have a light on my phone that is like probably brighter than like 2 or 3 of his gigantic flashlights. And it has GPS and it probably has signal.
Makes you think of how fucked we would be if something happened to your phone and you're in the middle of nowhere like that.
Oh yeah, phones are lifelines now.
GPS is. I feel like I don't pay attention to half the places I go because I just follow wherever the GPS tells me to go. And you would think in 2006, 2007 they had MapQuest, and they didn't even have the MapQuest directions.
No.
So.
Well, you don't have MapQuest directions for the old shortcut.
No. They leave that off for a reason. MapQuest knew what they were doing.
Yeah, MapQuest does not recommend the shortcut. Stick to the interstate. Go the long way. Wait in traffic. It's just a fucking wreck. But yeah, so they decide to walk back to the service station, and they find it closed when they arrive. They end up walking over to the motel across the street, and only to find a sole motel manager working the night shift.
Creepy ass Ned Flanders.
Yeah, creepy Ned Flanders. Man, he is absolutely like the real life fucking version of Ned Flanders. What is it like? Diddly do or I don't remember what it was.
I'm not even gonna try.
Diddly murder.
Yeah.
No, yeah. You notice like
snuff films.
when he's like when he's like yelling and getting into it, like his hair it's kind of stiff and it kind of shimmies.
Mm-hmm.
Like his hair shimmies.
Yeah.
And he has that I don't know, it's almost like that. When guys would kind of comb their hair in a certain way and then like I don't know if it's like hairspray it down or something back from like the 80s to where it just didn't fucking move.
Yeah, it's got all that volume to it, but it still doesn't move. It's got to be hairspray.
Yeah, I mean it's in it he's got kind of thinned out hair too, so I guess he needs it to not move because if it moves, it may move so much you kind of could see down to his scalp.
Looking down the valley.
Yeah, looking down the valley. So he's got to get it like in this perfect kind of position and then like freeze it. So like it actually looks like he's got something going on up there. But yeah, I love his look. When they designed his character, it's fantastic. I mean, everything about his case, he's favorite character from the movie. He really makes the movie. And yeah, this is kind of our first introduction to Mason. But just want to say that was absolutely not a fucking horror movie playing in the background.
Yeah, this is like red flag number 2 or 3.
At least number two. We're at least on number two here. I mean, we got the
That
mechanic.
counts for 2 flags in itself.
I mean, we got the mechanic who's like just happens to be hanging out at the creepy gas station at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then, and he's super nice, and then we have, this guy who is listening to, I guess, what people would assume to be a horror movie. But there's like there's no music in the background. There's no change in the sound. It's just like this constant woman like screaming. I would feel extremely uneasy after about 20 or 30 seconds being in there. Maybe it's because I'm a horror fan and I know like, hey, that's not how movies typically do that. But yeah, I don't know,
Yeah,
man. I'd
that's
have been on edge right off the bat.
some really good acting.
Yeah, it could be just good acting. I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe
yeah,
could be an A24 movie.
yeah, could be.
Could be a A24 movie just doing something a little different.
Yeah, after hearing that and then seeing creepy Ned Flanders, the manager who you don't ever want to leave with your kids.
I don't want to leave my grandma
probably
with him.
probably walking back to the car after that one.
I don't want to
I think
leave anything with that guy.
I think David actually kind of asked her like, does she want to go back? And Amy clearly is like, no. But that's after that point when it's like, all right, we'll take a room.
Yeah, yeah. So he kind of they seem like they don't really want to stay there. They're just kind of asking questions about the service station, and Mason tells them, "Hey, it's not going to be open until the morning. Why don't you go ahead and get you a room?" So I guess this is still kind of connected to our red flag number 2. I don't know. I mean, I guess any motel person who's struggling to get people in there may try to talk you into it. But I love the part where he gives him the dollar for the dimes, and Mason checks to see if the dollar's fucking real. Like there's just like a ton of fake $1 bills just kind of floating around, especially in the middle of nowhere, like this place is. I guess he comes across that often. He gets nailed by these fake ones.
And then he's like checking the years on the nickels. It's like it just adds that extra like, God, this guy fucking sucks.
Yeah, and I love like there's this little part where he's because you almost don't catch that he's kind of checking to see if it's real, and then David's like, yeah, it's real, and that's just like the like kind of little things sprinkled in there, but yeah, it just makes you realize, Mason is one of those. He's just one of those guys that kind of you can't stand him. He just makes your skin crawl, and yeah, he's just that guy. Man, he puts off that vibe so good, though.
Yeah, the guy who played him did a fantastic job.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, so anyway, they get their room, and they're not in this room for 5 fucking minutes when things start going on. Like, they don't give these people a hardly a moment to really figure out what's going on or like even get comfortable. But they're in there, and then all of a sudden, this banging on the walls starts, banging on the doors starts happening. And well, they think it's coming from the room next door, and it must be some kind of prank. So David decides he's going to go talk to the manager about it, and he's gonna see what he can do. And he goes over there to talk to Mason, the manager, and he informs him that you guys are the only guests we have. He kind of chalks it up to what does he say, like homeless people or
College kids, I
college
think,
kids
breaking in.
college kids break into motels often. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe in this fucking
I
place,
don't know.
you wouldn't even think there was a college around this place. It's like up
Yeah.
middle of the mountains.
I mean, I could see if like, David went over there and complained that someone was playing beer pong next door.
I
I'd get that, but
I do love that he goes next door and bangs on the door, and then goes to the manager when he doesn't get them to open. He does everything that, like, he doesn't back down. He doesn't cower. He steps up and does what most people who are watching the movie would be like, that. Well, that's what I would do. He does the right thing.
I think he's just kind of sick of everything. He's got a
Been
lot
dealing with
going
his
on.
wife.
Yeah, he's dealing with his wife. He just came from his in-laws. He's stuck in his car's broke down. He's stuck in this shady ass motel. He's had to deal with this guy who was checking to see if his dollar bills are real. And then he finally gets in his room, and he's not even there for a couple minutes, and now he's dealing with this. And I feel like he was like in ass whooping mode at this
Yeah,
point.
he was
Like
shit.
he's ready to fucking throw down. Santa Claus could have opened that fucking door, and I think David would have had it out with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that part though. I love that he doesn't back down. It's not like most horror movies where they get all scared and cower in the room. Like he's like, fuck this, I'm going next door, I'm beating somebody's ass.
Yeah. So David returns to the room. He thinks the problem is solved, and he's ready to relax. He tries watching some TV, but there's no channels. Yeah, just fuzz. Man, I remember them days back when there was actual like fuzz on the TV. I don't think that's. I don't know. I don't know if TVs do that anymore.
The old trying to catch some HBO late at night.
Oh yeah, that's a nipple.
Channel
I
19.
swear that's a nipple. Yeah, because I think TVs are like they went digital now, so I think that the channels just like digitalize. They like kind of just fuck up,
I think they just cut
but they
out.
don't like fuzz anymore. But yeah, he's getting nothing but fuzz every channel, and he decides he's going to pop in some of these old VHS tapes, kind of unmarked, can't tell what they are, and he's just gonna risk it. I can say that I probably would not have put the tapes in if I was in that situation. This is where me and David's path would be different. I think I would have just said fuck it at this point.
Doesn't he think they're porn tapes? It's like, let's
He's
try to pop
hoping.
in some porn.
He's
Like,
hoping they're
what
porn.
what a way to make up with your wife after hours in the car at each other's throats.
Watching porn.
Let's get into a really seedy motel that somebody next door is clearly trying to fuck with us, and well, it'll all be better to just put this old VHS porn on.
Yeah, put the old porno in, and I'm sure she'll loosen right up. She'll chill out, and I think everything will work out pretty good.
It is worth noting, this is kind of where, when things start going bad here, like the banging on the door, that's where their attitude towards each other really starts changing in the movie. She starts being a lot nicer. Definitely in the beginning of the movie, you can tell he's kind of trying to make it work, and she's kind of doesn't want anything to do with it, and he's kind of sick of that, and they're back and forth and back and forth, and then shit starts hitting the fan. This is where their relationship really starts changing.
Her attitude towards him is going to have to adjust a little bit. Like they need to be in this together and not against each other. They are going to have to come together. Like he can't possibly get out of this situation by himself, and she can't get out of it by herself. And I think that like during this chunk of the film, you really start to see this kind of flowing between the two of them, where they realize that they still do love each other, and even though that stuff's going wrong, this is kind of a life or death situation. Well, it becomes one, and they really got to work together and put things aside to get out of this.
Yeah, nothing like fear to bring two people
Oh yeah,
together.
yeah. Fear does a lot of things to a lot of people. But yeah. So he puts these tapes in, and essentially what we're watching is, you got like 3 or 4 kind of just average looking people, and then you have 2 men. They're wearing these like dark blue jumpsuits, and they both have on like these masks covering their faces, and they are essentially just beating the shit out of these people. I mean, I'm talking strangling, like throwing them across the room, kicking, hit, like just pretty much, whatever you could possibly do with your arms and legs to hurt someone. They're in there going at it. And these kind of regular people that are getting victimized, they they're in absolute terror. You can't really put a whole lot together besides that. You don't really know, where this is happening, why this is happening, why they can't escape. And David sees this and is like, man, this is fucked up. And he takes it out, and let's watch something else, puts something else in, and it's kind of the same tape, but it's kind of a different group of people.
That's another husband and wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we go from like 3 or 4 people to just 2 people. And I think on this tape too, you actually see this is a scenario where these guys are actually first coming in, and the husband's trying to protect the wife. And so these 2 tapes, like, this is such a short scene, but if you watch it, they're 2 completely different parts of these tapes. The first part is just full on assault, and the second tape is a short part where it's kind of the beginning of the actual physical assault. And that's what kind of comes in a little bit later. But as he's like watching this, he's starting to put things together. And he's kind of looking at the TV, looking at the room, and it's almost like he's in disbelief for a moment. Like, there's no way that what I am watching is the same room as where I'm staying. And this is kind of a unique looking room because it's so fucking old and so, like, just left behind of time, that like, it's there's not like a million other motel rooms that probably look exactly like this. And he gets up and he starts checking kind of the angles. And he realizes that the angles from the videos that he's watching, there are actually cameras in the room shooting those same angles. You got some in the vents, and the vents at the top of the ceiling, the vents at the bottom of the ceiling. And this is at the point where he realizes that Mason is actually watching them, and what he is watching is a tape of an assault or multiple assaults that's happened in the very room that they are in. And this is where David, his brain just kind of clicks into almost like the beginning of a survival mode.
MVP David comes out.
Oh
He
yeah.
makes some fantastic, very smart decisions
Oh
throughout
yeah.
this movie, and it's one of the things that I love the most about this movie. Most horror movies you're watching, you're like, why the fuck did they do that? Or that's stupid. That's not David. He he seems to make the decision. Like, every time you think, why doesn't he do this? He does it. It's makes the movie much better to watch.
Yeah, it's really refreshing to see. This is a horror movie, I think, really for adults, because this is not, as much as I love like kind of all horror movies, this is a movie where you get characters that are put in a more realistic situation, and you get characters, like good characters, that are more like real people and making real people decisions. And I just think that this is, I don't know, this is more of a kind of grown-up horror movie.
Yeah, I
um
can agree with that. That's well put.
yeah, I mean, this is definitely for kind of, more of those times where there's those movies where you want to sit down and you want to have like a great time with your friends. You kind of want to rag on the movie or laugh at the movie or have fun with the movie. This is a movie that, hey, maybe you or you and someone else kind of want to kick back and you want to watch something really smart, but not so smart you need to like Google the ending or something,
Yeah, not that
afterwards.
smart.
Not
The
that smart.
story's simple,
Yeah,
but
simple story, but you want to watch something
the characters are
where
smart.
you're really rooting for the characters, and you can really put yourself in the character's shoes and say, man, I think I would make that decision. You really root for David in this movie, I think. Well, at least, I did. I
Yeah, I
assume
know.
most
I
people are like
agree.
that.
I agree completely. Most horror movies, I'm very quick to find myself going for the bad guys. But David's decision making in this movie just makes him that much more likable.
Yeah.
This is an interesting part of the movie too, where the tapes are left, and you as the viewer kind of realize that they're really trying to fuck with them. They're really trying to invoke fear, and then the point's not just to make a snuff film, but it's to absolutely torture these people mentally and physically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you definitely didn't leave 3 or 4 blank tapes in the only room that you rented out by accident. And
Yeah.
then you realize that everything that these guys are doing too, because I mean, they could, if they wanted to just make a snuff film, they could just probably go in there without even scaring them, just sneak in there when they
Oh,
go to bed
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
kill them on camera. And, they could probably successfully do that for, years and years before anybody would ever figure it out. But,
Yeah, it was
um,
intentional. If you notice, the manager actually tries to get $5 out of them to upgrade the room, and they're like, "No," and he's like, "Oh, I'll just give it to you anyway,"
oh, yeah.
because they were specifically putting them in this one room that they have set, and they had these tapes set.
Yeah, and I think it's also like it's on purpose that that room's picked because it's on the corner. They have, that kind of sets them up where they're almost in a kill box where the bad guys know that technically there's, the front door, so one way in or out through the front door, and then there's the like adjoining door for the other room. So there's two. And then as far as the guests know, those are the only two ways in or out of this room. The window in the back is pretty much too small and it's nailed shut. And obviously, the guests don't know about the trap door.
Yeah.
So they're really, they're limiting, like every other room has at least three. You got two adjoining doors and one front door. And this room is probably the only room that only has two. This is an operation here. This is 100% an operation. Everything that is gone into this is absolutely on purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these tapes, man, they show these two men, they're beating and murdering these previous guests. And David and Amy, they try to run from the motel and that's their first instinct. Get the fuck out of there. And they try to run from the motel. I'm probably gonna call this thing a hotel or a motel or a hotel
The
motel.
motel is motel.
I'm gonna
This does not qualify as hotel.
I know it's not a hotel. It's just those two words are so similar, and I feel like I never fucking say motel because I will not stay at a motel. Like, absolutely not. I will sleep in my car before I stay at a
Yep.
place like
Let's
this.
stay with the bed bugs.
Fuck no. I don't know. Maybe I won't stay at a motel because I watched this fucking movie when I was, a teenager. It could absolutely have something to do with it. Yeah, I think that what we were talking about, like, before. We should go and stay at the shittiest motel we could find, watch this movie, and then record this episode
Yeah.
at this fucking motel. I don't know. Maybe it would just add that flavor. I don't know.
Definitely add it for us.
No, yeah, it would add it for us, and then we would record it, and then we would fucking leave because I wouldn't sleep there. But yeah, so they're confronted, the two men in the mask, they're out in the parking lot, they know what's going on. They're already prepared, and I think probably everybody's first reaction is to kind of run out of the building, so they're already out there waiting on them. And they end up having to run back in the hotel and lock the door. Now it's time to kind of figure out a plan. Like, there's a lot of panic, a lot of what's going on here.
Yeah, this is where they realize that they're being fucked with.
Oh yeah.
And actually, like right before this, it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Right before they take off out the room, the lights start flickering in the room, and you can actually see one of the killers standing behind them in the room
Oh,
already. Yeah, it's definitely gives you
I have not seen this.
yeah. So like I said, it's one of
It's like The
my
Strangers.
yeah, strangers feel absolutely.
So
Because
he's
you see that the characters have no idea that they're in the room, and that's when you kind of figure out that there is another way into this room outside of those doors, because he's literally standing right behind them, and they have no idea. And that's when they take off out the door, and they kind of get herded back in.
So what? He's in like. So you got like you got like the doorway to the bathroom. You're saying he's back there.
Yeah.
Is he in the bathroom?
No, so there's the corner, and that there's that little thing. I don't know what it's called.
It's some kind of like metal design or something.
Yeah, some type
You
of
see,
design on
yeah,
the
see the
corner.
guy is like swinging from it at one point. He's just having a ball, just murdering
Yeah.
people.
So he's standing directly behind that, maybe 2 foot behind them. And the lights flash, and one of the times that the light flashes, you actually see him standing right behind them with the knife. It's
Oh man.
definitely my favorite scene of the movie,
Oh man.
by far, just because it gives you that like on the edge of your seat. I had to rewind it because I'm like, did I just fucking see what I think I seen? Definitely, my favorite scene of the movie.
Oh man. So here I am at the beginning of the episode saying I've seen this fucking movie what I'd say 10, 13 times or something.
Yeah.
Never seen that part. I've never seen that. So it's before they both run out the door.
Yep. Yep. It's right before. So, um, they realize that they're being watched, that all these murders are taking place in this room. And then right after that, the lights start flashing and shit. And that's when they take off to get the fuck out of there. So it's right when those lights are flashing right before that. And they take off out the room.
No, holy shit, man. I gotta go back and watch this. I gotta see this.
Yeah.
Man, that is great. That is phenomenal. So yeah, so you as a viewer have now seen that they have access to this room without, without really being obvious or really without, the occupants knowing.
No.
Fuck, man.
But big strangers feel.
Oh
You,
yeah.
you know, the famous scene where he's in the back and you realize, holy shit, they're in the house already.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I think this came out before The Strangers, right?
Yeah, I think Strangers 2008,
Yeah,
maybe.
I think this came out a little bit before. But it definitely it just gives you that feel, that edge of your seat, because you know that they have access, but you also know that these characters you're watching, that you're rooting for at this point, have fucking no idea that they have a entrance that they don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it's not super obvious, I guess it's really set up for just like some audience members with the eagle eye that catch it. Because man, I've watched this movie many times. I have never seen this part. Man, that's cool though. I love when they throw little things in there that some people see and some people don't see. Those are like phenomenal in movies. Those are fantastic. I wish, because I think like one of the big movies for that is do you remember what was it called? What is it? The Haunting at Hill House?
The
Okay,
show.
yeah. So after that had came out, there's all these like YouTube videos that you can go to, and it shows where they like hid. You can watch these videos, and they'll point out, so you can go back and watch the show like a second time, because there's all these really tiny like ghosts and stuff that go on in the background of all those like flashback scenes where the family is like living in the house. And there's like fucking 50 of those, they're just everywhere. And you could almost watch that, like 5 different times just back to back and see like different little things in the background all the time. And man, I just
I've
love
never heard that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have to watch that and
Yeah,
check that out.
yeah. Yeah, definitely
There's
check it out.
little hidden Easter egg
Cause
type things
yeah,
in
they
there.
hid like, it'd be like a scene where you have like 2 characters just sitting there talking. And like they had this remember they had the part in Hill House where it was like you had the door and then the kind of open area with the big grand staircase.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be like scenes where like there'd be 2 characters that would be standing kind of in front of that staircase talking, and it would be like, a person walking like his legs or something on the staircase, like at the top of the shot. Or they would be like a little boy like hidden in the shadow at like the doorway by the staircase, like, and he's just so still and just sitting there. And they put all that stuff in there, and it's only in the scenes inside the house. and it's only in the scenes that's like where it's
That
in the
makes
past.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because they wanted to make it to where like you kind of get to experience how haunted the fucking house is. And like, there's so many ghosts at this place that you can't even see them all in the first viewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool when they put stuff like that
Yeah.
and they let you as the audience slightly pick up on it if you do see it, but the characters in the movie or the show have
Yeah.
no idea what's going
Oh,
on.
it's fucking best.
Yeah.
But yeah, so where we at? So they run back in the house, they lock the door, and it's David's ready to take some action. He's just getting going. Like, he is not going to kind of lay down and let these guys come into this fucking room. So he decides, hey, there's a payphone out there. And he has a pocket full of dimes thanks to the manager. He hauls ass out there to this payphone, and he gets over to this payphone. And when he picks up the payphone, he calls. And so when he calls on the payphone, is that
That's
that's the
manager.
that's Mason, the manager,
Yeah,
that picks up the phone.
It's not super noticeable at first.
No,
but
no,
this
no.
is the point where he realizes that even the manager's in on it. Like,
yeah, so they got the payphone wired like directly to, I guess, his office. And yeah, I mean, on shit, I wasn't even 100% sure it was the manager even after the scene, but I mean, it makes sense. Only like 3 bad guys in the whole movie. But yeah, so pretty much once, like, he thinks he's talking to 911, and pretty much this 911 operator kind of lets on that he's not 911.
he says it calls him by his name.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
calls him by his name.
yeah.
And
He hadn't given his name yet.
that's what kind of makes you figure out that it's the manager.
Yeah,
because he's the only other one there that knows their name. And this is a point in the movie where David kind of realizes the only other person here is in on it, and then he's like, "Oh fuck, we're on our own."
yeah. So as this kind of happens, they draw. I guess they went back and they got David and Amy's car, and they ram it into the fucking payphone. I guess they don't need the payphone for the next couple that comes, or maybe they have a fuck ton of payphones booths just stashed behind the hotel. Maybe this happens every time.
Get payphones for cheap in 2007. Cell phones for phasing the payphones out.
Yeah.
You got on Craigslist, you could find them for $10 a pop. So
yeah,
they just reset everything up every snuff film.
Yeah, I haven't seen a payphone in a long time, but anyway, yeah. So David jumps out of the way right in time. They ram that car right through that payphone, and David ends up hauling ass back to the room. And yeah, like we were saying, this is the point where David now knows this is some serious shit. And he instantly starts looking for some kind of weapon. And I think that knife out of the broken mirror thing was so fucking smart. I feel like in a panic too, it's hard to really think of good ideas like that. Like, I don't think I almost might have would have grabbed like a lamp or something stupid
to grab that heavy ass flashlight.
No, or that, well, it's in the car that they used to just try to kill him. So I don't know.
Is it? I thought they used it walking back from the car to the hotel.
Maybe they did. I don't remember.
That's when you seen it. But yeah, those D batteries in a sock. If I do some damage.
Oh, good God, yeah, yeah.
But that's
like some prison fucking weapons.
Well, he had a mirror shank. So
yes, David's been to prison.
Things that makes you like David that much more, because it's like, the fight or flight, and they tried to take off and that got shut down. So he's arming up. And that's what you would do as a viewer watching this movie. You would be like, okay, well, I'm not just going to stay there and get killed like the other people in the snuff films. Let me get my hands on whatever I can. And it just speaks to David's character.
Yeah, he comes up with some good shit though. And yeah, so he goes in the bathroom, he breaks the mirror, which obviously no one else has done, because I doubt they're replacing that mirror every time. Or, I guess if people kept making knives out of the mirror, they'd probably put one of those like unbreakable mirrors in there. So it looks like this is kind of, first time somebody's come up with such an idea. But he makes a big ass knife out of it too. It's not like a small knife. Like he has like a big blade, and pretty much makes a knife out of it. Once this happens, things kind of quiet down for a little while, and he kind of takes this opportunity to he blocks up a lot of the cameras. I know he leaves one of the cameras because he turns out all the lights, and he leaves one of the cameras that's kind of watching Amy, and Amy's kind of sitting there, and
She falls
she falls
asleep.
asleep
She falls asleep somehow. She falls
somehow.
asleep for a little bit.
Yeah. And he uses this to his advantage. He knows that there's one camera that's kind of still going, and it's kind of watching her, and he's got all the lights off, and he uses this time to sit down and actually study these tapes. And he watches all these tapes all the way through, and he's rewinding them, and he's typically looking for their strategy. How do they get in the room? Is there always two of them? Like, just really fucking smart ideas. This is the idea that really changes the game here for the outcome of this movie.
Yeah, this is what sets them apart.
Yeah.
Because you see in the snuff films, it's around this time where they normally come in and finish them off, and this is what kind of made the difference for Amy and David. It's another one of those things David does where it's like, me in that situation, I don't even know if I would have been thinking clear enough to actually sit down, use the cameras to my advantage, and actually study the tapes on where they come from.
Yeah, fun fact, David is former Special Forces.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had to include this because we're sitting here, we're talking about David, we're talking about these decisions that are made in this movie, and then I came across this and I had to put this in here because I was kind of speechless when I read this. I'm gonna get your thoughts on it. A well-known film reviewer named Richard Roper said that the film was uninspired, unoriginal, and a chills-free thriller, and that he was disappointed in the main character, saying, apparently the two had never seen a scary movie before because they kept making rookie mistakes. I read that and I thought, Richard Roper, did you even watch the fucking movie?
Yeah, clearly he didn't fucking watch the
Like,
movie.
did we watch the same goddamn movie? Like, did you put in like another Vacancy from like another country?
He watched
and it was like different.
that knockoff Vacancy.
Yeah. I'm just, like, what?
That's literally the opposite. Like, that's what makes this movie great, is that they do these things that most people in horror movies don't think about, and they actually fight back. Yeah, that guy's a fucking... Who is that?
His name is Richard Roper.
All right.
And from what I understand, I looked up a little bit about him, and
And he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he is an idiot. Richard Roper, if you are for some reason listening to this, you know that we do not hold your opinion in very high regard.
Yeah, please get a different job.
Yes. So, basically this is the deal with this guy is they had the show where it was like Siskel and Ebert, they, famous film reviewers, they had a TV show on TV for a long time where they sat and, reviewed movies, pretty much like our parents' version of Rotten Tomatoes. And Siskel passed away, and it was just Ebert, and they needed Ebert to have a co-host. So they obviously went to a mental institution and signed this man out and put a suit on him and gave him a piece of paper and a clipboard and a pen, and they put him next to Ebert and they had him watch movies, and he drooled all over the paper and didn't write anything down.
Clearly didn't watch the movie.
And I don't think he knows what a movie is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. This guy's fucking terrible.
But that is the background on this fella.
It's probably just a movie critic snob who came across this and just wrote like a typical review without even watching the movie. Because there's no way he actually watched the movie to write that review. Like, even if you don't like this movie, that's okay. You don't have to like it. But good God, at least fucking watch it if you're going to criticize it.
Yeah, I almost want to name this episode "Rookie Mistakes." But yeah, so David and Amy, they hear a truck pull into the parking lot. And they get up, they look out the window, and they start giving. He's a truck driver, he's parked his truck in the parking lot, and they start getting the driver's attention. But then they soon realize that the driver is actually working with Mason, and he is in on the whole thing. He looks to be, my guess is like he distributes the movies, or at least like transports them, I
Yeah,
guess.
my thought was he was just buying them, but that makes a lot more sense actually.
It was like a
Truck
box of
driver, and he was,
movies.
hey man, he really likes his
He
fucking snuff
maybe he
films. You can only
does.
get off so many times to the same thing.
Imagine his surprise when like cell phones came out with the internet and he'd have to like go to seedy motels and purchase VHS. Did he have like a shitty big like a small but big TV and a fucking VCR in that truck?
Clearly, he did.
Yeah,
He
because
had to make sure the product was good before
oh
he put it out on the street.
god damn.
Got to test the product.
Yeah,
This is such just like a roller coaster moment in the movie because it's so up and down. Like you see this guy, you're like, okay, there's another person. He's gonna save them. They're gonna be to get help, and then you see the killer start creeping up behind the truck driver, and you're like, oh no, the truck driver's gonna get killed, and then all that's let down when you find out the truck driver is essentially in on it, and he even gives this like snarky kind of half smile at them when he realizes that they're part of a snuff film.
yeah, when I first seen this movie, I thought, it was kind of the classic, oh, guy shows up, he's gonna help, they're almost saved, guy gets, stabbed in the back or his throat cut or something, and their main characters realize that they're even deeper shit than what they thought. And this does a really good job of kind of pulling that rug out from underneath me. I remember at one point in time I hadn't seen this movie in like, oh fuck, like 5 years at one point, and I put it in or I caught it again, and I'd kind of forgotten about this because it's such a small scene, and I'd kind of forgotten about it, and that whole reaction happened to me again, and also I was excited, like, yes, it's always, because I mean that's what's great about horror movies is you get these feelings.
Yeah, it got me when I just watched it. It did. I'd forgotten about the truck driver completely. Yeah, it definitely got me. I forgot that they were actually the truck driver was working with them,
Son of a bitch.
or at least buying from them. Yeah, what
Yeah,
a bastard.
I wonder if the police ever caught up with him. It's
Yeah,
save it
there
for the
might be some
sequel.
missing truck stop prostitutes. They might want to look at this guy.
Yeah, he could be the what did they call him? Like the interstate killer or something? Could be him. So yeah, so after that, so David then discovers that there is a trap door in the bathroom, and he discovers this because he's watching the tapes, and he realizes he sees kind of how these men kind of sneak into the room. They kind of almost just come up behind the people in the room, because they're so focused on the front door and the side door that it kind of allows for these guys to come in through the bathroom and kind of surprise them and get them from behind, which is, man, pretty slick idea. But he sees this in the tape, and he kind of goes to the bathroom and he kind of starts snooping around, and then he kind of steps on the floor and he realizes it sounds hollow, pulls the rug up, and what do you know? You got a goddamn homemade tunnel. They must really, really want to kill people and put it on film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes you think they must have been making a good bit of money off of this
Yeah.
to put this much into this project.
Yeah, that's not a professional built tunnel at all. Absolutely not.
It does the job.
It does the job, apparently. Why do you think they have the tunnel that goes to the gas station, though? What's the point of that? I get the one from the office to the room.
Maybe the killers come from the gas station. Maybe they just want access no matter where they're at. What happens,
Maybe.
they know they can get in there from wherever they're at.
I don't think that ever really is kind of addressed or anything, but I mean, Yeah, I'm sure that there's many reasons why that would make sense, but yeah. So and I discovered that there's a kind of some homemade built tunnels underneath here, and they got them a trap door, and this is how they are. This is how they're kind of popping up into the room, and they decide they got to go through this trap door. I mean, this is kind of their best. This is their best option. Can't go out the front door. Can't go through the side door. The window's nailed shut, and you have the kind of added surprise that the killers and Mason do not know you have discovered this trapdoor. So
Yeah.
now you have a little bit of an advantage
And
compared to 5 minutes before you had no advantage.
they also just seen all three of them with the truck driver
Oh
too.
yeah.
So I think he initially discovers the tunnel when he's looking for he steps and hears it and discovers it while he's looking for the tape, but he kind of hides that he knows it's there. Then he uses that moment as a moment to get the fuck out of there.
So yeah, so they go through this trapdoor and they're crawling through the tunnels and they're pretty much, heading down to the other end. And could you go through the rats? You make it through them
Yeah,
rats?
absolutely.
I'd
I wouldn't
fuck them
fucking give a
rats.
fuck about those
I'd
rats. My
fucking
life is on the
I'd
line.
punch them fucking rats. I'd roll through them rats. I'd do whatever I had to
I
do.
body surfed those fucking rats all the
Yeah.
way to the end of that tunnel.
I would talk the rats into helping me.
You recruit the
I
rats.
would recruit them.
Yeah.
I'd recruit them.
You weaponize rats.
And I would have them chew through Mason's stiff hair into his brain.
It's fucking creepy ass fucking face.
And I would record it, and then I would sell it to the truck driver, and then I would put a bomb in the box of tapes that I gave him that would go off 10 minutes after he left. And then I would take the rats and build them a home. And they could live there.
That's a nice touch to the end. Build them a home.
If I would have directed this movie, it'd be so different. But yeah, Amy has a bit of a problem getting through the rats.
Horror movie trope though. This is the one that's like, don't take the shortcut. And of course, anytime there's a tunnel in a horror movie or a tight spot where you got to be quiet, there's going to be fucking rats.
Oh yeah,
or 300.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised David didn't just pick up a rat and bite a chunk out of him, because he's on it right now.
He's surprised he didn't whittle a shank out of its spine.
Yeah.
And he's on it. It's an MVP David.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite character of this movie, just based off of how smart he was in playing this.
Amy is dragging him down right now, but he's flying so high that she's not dragging him down enough for him to be underwater. He's going. He's getting it. But yeah, so he gets her through the rats, and they pop out the other side, and pretty much where the other side of the tunnel is Mason's manager office. And as they come out there, they kind of discover, I guess you could describe it as the headquarters of this murder organization.
HQ right here.
Which is very depressing looking. They has HQ. But, I was thinking, he has this whole wall of VCRs and old monitors and, these fucking, things to control the sound. And I was like, that was 2006, 2007 time. You could replace that whole entire wall with, a soundboard, a hard drive, and a fucking laptop, and maybe if you needed multiple screens, just get some flat monitors. That's it. You can condense that so much. Man, things have changed.
This is
so much.
A pretty good control room for 2006, though. And I think
this is $high shit.
I think this is where the characters really realize how big of an operation this is. This stuff isn't cheap.
Is this similar to the scene in the movie Hostel when he kind of gets away from the chair, he gets out of the room and he discovered there's guards in the building and there's people paying and it's a club? It's similar to that, where you discover this isn't one killer trying to kill me. This isn't one guy that I got to defeat. This is a fucking organization. This
No.
is organized group of people that are making money off of this. And man, that's got to be crushing.
Yeah.
That's got to be crushing.
Yeah.
But
Like I said, that's when they realize, oh shit, this we're in a bad spot, as if we weren't already.
yeah. But yeah, so Amy gets a hold of the phone. She manages to call 911, and it's actually 911 this time. At least it sounds like it. Well, they get interrupted by Mason and the two killers come in at the same time. They don't realize that they're kind of in this office at the time. So they kind of go back into the tunnel and escape out of there real quick. But she leaves the phone still like off the hook, and it's still kind of connected to 911. And Mason discovers this and is furious. So this is the point where the bad guys discover that they're using the tunnel. That surprise element is now over, and we're kind of back to even playing field here. Mason kind of takes the phone cord out, so nobody could call out anymore, and he actually sends the guys down into the tunnel and just pretty much tells them go after them. If I were those fellas, I wouldn't put my fucking mask to crawl through that tunnel. I wouldn't put it on.
No, not after this point.
No, I mean, so, I'm down there. It's dark. It's dirty. You don't even have enough room to even like a quarter of the way stand up. I'm not putting and I'm frustrated. I gotta remember, kind of pissed.
Well, I think this
Wouldn't-
is where the sense of panic really kicks in on them. I don't think anybody's ever gotten this far.
Oh, no.
And you can tell they do a really good job in the movie. The Ned Flanders hotel manager, you can tell that the panic is
he's
set in
shitting.
when he realizes that 911 got called. They're in a bad spot.
Yeah,
And they not only got to do something with these people, but it's got to be done quick.
Yeah, did you see at this moment how much his stiff hair is shimmying?
Very, very, very
This is
shimmy.
the Mason meter. This is how you know how worked up Mason is how big his eyes get and how much that stiff hair shimmies. That's how you know.
Pretty good measurement.
That's how you know.
Yeah, he's fucking pissed.
He is pissed. But yeah, there's the guys like they pull their mask back down before they jump in the tunnel. Fuck the mask, man. Go in the tunnel. Get what you got to get done. Like, you don't have a camera down there. It's not like you're gonna be on camera while you're getting them. Like, fuck the mask. But anyway, one starts at one end that goes in the tunnel. He kind of yells to the other killer, hey, they're in the tunnel. So they kind of go in either end of the tunnel, and it looks like they're gonna kind of microphone. It looks like they're gonna go and kind of sandwich them. But what they don't realize is that David and Amy decide to actually take, I guess there's only one. I don't know. They don't really explain this, but there is at least one separate tunnel that kind of leads off from this main tunnel, and they decide, fuck going back to the murder room. They're going to go and see where this other tunnel leads. And they kind of hang in a right, and they head down this other tunnel, and they pop out in the inside the service station. Kind of pop right out there, it was right behind, right in front of the cash register. Yeah, I think it takes them. Doesn't it take them a few minutes to kind of figure out that's the direction they go in, right?
Yeah. So they block up the hole,
Yeah,
and
they
this is where
barricade
I think a little bit of time passes. This is where things slow down, because it actually shows Amy and David. They start talking. It's kind of an important scene. This is where they kind of realize they still love each other. You find out that Charlie was their son who died.
Oh, yeah.
They both just had different ways of coping with his death, and they kind of reunite in this moment. So, though it's very quick in the movie, it seems like time slows down a little bit. But they're actually watching outside of the service station. They can see them outside looking for them. And this is the first time that David and Amy know that they're not actively being watched at the moment. And I think they just kind of sit out there for a little bit until the cop shows up.
So they're kind of, they're kind of just sitting in the service station across the street. And they're kind of watching pretty much all this stuff going on through this, main window. And then all of a sudden, the sheriff's car pulls up, and this car is responding to Amy's phone call from earlier. And Amy and David debate whether or not the sheriff is working with Mason like the truck driver was, which is a really good point.
Smart.
Yeah, I mean, they were really trusting with the truck driver, and with the cops showing up too. Like it's almost like, man, is this too good to be true? And honestly, in a situation like this, with, once you've discovered so much about the situation and how many people's in on it, and this is an organization, yeah, I would think maybe some of the local police could be getting paid off and be in on it, especially, even if it's just one. So I could definitely see this being a really hard debate, whether you want to kind of give your spot up. But the problem is, you know, there's only the motel and the service station. That spot's not going to be safe for the ever.
Yeah, I think they have a hard decision to make because it's, do we want to trust the cop and give up our spot? Because they still haven't found them yet. They're still hiding in there. Or do we want to stay in the service station where they're eventually going to find you? So they're kind of forced to eventually run out to the cop when they see his reaction.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that it's really difficult to, even though you're kind of like, yeah, it's if that is if that cop is like really being a real cop, we really do need to go out there because this could save us.
It's our
But
only hope.
but trying to give up this tiny little bit of safety that you have gotten after dealing with this for an hour, a couple of hours, is is probably a really big mental block that, just watching a movie we don't really come to realize. But when they wrote the movie, it was really kind of cool that they got that deep into kind of what, what a real person's emotions would be in this kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah, your reactions are to stay hidden,
Yeah.
stay put, especially when you've been hunted for hours at this point. This is the first time you've actually been hidden. But at the same time, that's also in your head. That's your lifeline.
But yeah, so they're pretty much watching the officer and Mason kind of walk around the motel. He's got a flashlight out, he's kind of looking around, and pretty much from their point of view, it's really hard to tell. It kind of looks like the cop is helping Mason look for them, which kind of adds to maybe David's point of view of this guy is in on it. But as a viewer, we kind of get the actual close-up shot of what's actually being said, and it's very obvious that the officer is responding from the call and does not know anything about Mason or this shitty motel. It's weird because we're looking at the same scene, but we're looking at it from two different points of view, and that's pretty interesting. But so the officer, he wants to look into the room. Like, he notices the phone booth is destroyed, and he wants to kind of check out the rooms. Mason claims that there are no guests there that night. It's pretty much just him. And the officer says, "Hey, well, let me look in the rooms, and there's nobody here." Mason pulls the old wrong keys. Like, let me go get the keys, kind of, that's like the old shortcut kind of trick. Oh, let me go get the blah, 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 blah. And so as he walks off, the officer tries the door to not the room that, pretty much not the kill room, but the room attached to the kill room, so the room next door. And he kind of goes in there and he realizes, like, man, it's kind of trashed in here. And I think he ends up, like, doesn't he walk through like the adjoining door into the door that, like, the kill room?
I
I think
think
that's how it
so.
works or something. It's hard
Either
to
way,
tell because
he
it's
ends
dark in
up in
there.
a fucked up ass room,
Yeah,
and that's when he
he
kind
sees
of,
like
you see it in his face. He kind of realizes, like, okay, somebody called 911 from here, and then you're walking in to find that scene. Something's not right.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what trips him, like, what kind of, what makes him kind of suspect things, is he goes in the first room. The first room's kind of fucked up, and then the door's kind of open to go in the second room. He goes in the second room, and that room's fucked up. And it's kind of like, man, what kind of motel was this? Especially if no one's here. Why is everything like so fucked up? But he notices the TV is on, and one of the snuff films that David was watching is playing, and the officer's kind of looking at the television, and it doesn't take him very long to realize that what he's watching on TV is real, and it is happening in that room that he is standing in. And at this point, he draws his gun and he runs outside for his car. Now, this is one of my complaints with this movie. It's a very small one, but I don't think that cop looking at the TV for like 2 seconds would figure things out that quickly.
I don't know.
I think it's
Like, you got to
possible.
remember they've trashed the hotel looking for David and Amy. So the first room he goes into is super fucked up. Nobody's apparently there. They know somebody called 911, and then to walk in and see that playing, there's a lot of red flags. You'd probably be pretty suspicious, about as suspicious as you could be at that point. And then to see that, even if he didn't notice for sure it was the same room, I would have had a all right, we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I just feel like, because the room, there's no lights on, and I feel like he picks up on that. Like maybe if he would have watched it for like 20 seconds, but it's literally like a 3-second scene. I mean, it's not a big gripe, but if I had to pick something, like I
My
think he picked up on that pretty quick.
So that's not my gripe. My gripe is the fact that as soon as he picks up on it, why would you not call for backup? Like,
Oh
that's the
yeah,
biggest
yeah,
thing. Why the
that's a
fuck
huge
didn't you
problem
call for
too.
backup?
But yeah, so he pulls his gun, he's running to his car, and this is the point where Amy pretty much tells David, like, I'm fucking going. Like, you can stay here. But he is scared. He's got his gun drawn. He's running to his car. Like Mason nor the killers are accompanying him. So, I'm making my move.
So shot.
And so, they haul ass out there and they run and they're screaming for help. And the cops kind of like, it's kind of sketchy on them at first, but I think he realizes that it's kind of the manager who's, oh, I forgot my keys and there's no one else here. I think he realizes that these two are not a threat. These are probably the ones who called the police, and the threat is the guy that you talked to when you first got here. So he says, hey, get in the car. They all three hop in the car, and the car does not start. Dun dun dun. So the car doesn't start. The radio in the car is cut, so he cannot call for backup. And I guess in this town they don't have money for radios that cops wear on like their belt. They just got the car radio.
I,
That's
I
it.
thought I thought you could literally see it on him though. That's
I
like, I
can't
don't know.
remember. I don't know. You would definitely think that he would have more than just a car radio, but whatever. But he tells him to wait in the car. He jumps out of the car, and he I don't know why he does this, because I doubt this is anything that he can fix very quickly. But he opens the hood to see what's wrong with the car.
Bent fan blade.
Bent fan blade. Fucking rookie moves here. He sees that the battery cable has been cut. Definitely the car is not going anywhere. And pretty much as soon as he realizes this, he gets a knife to the back from one of the killers. And then at this point, once this happens, kind of, all the killers come out, Mason comes out. This is kind of like an attack, They're kind of set up, and once they take out the cop, pretty much got, David and Amy back in their bombs here.
Yeah, they literally end up right back in the room, back at square one, and now they know that nobody's coming for them. It's kill or be killed. That once the cop's been killed, that's kind of the last straw. Nobody else is coming to save you.
Yeah, I mean, you that's gotta suck, man. Like, you finally gotta win. I mean, you gotta win with the tunnel, but then that only lasted so long, and then you got this cop, and then you're like, oh my god, we're in a cop car. We got a cop. He's got a gun. We're gonna get out of here, and then this happens. Fuck. But I really love how Mason's kind of just standing off to the side, like talking shit while they kill the cop. Like he's just so arrogant about it. I believe he says like you might as well have stuck the back in his knife. You hit yourself. He
The
just
knife in your back.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah yeah
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He's just like just standing there, kind of just
Such a
talking his shit.
hateable character.
Oh, he's so fucking
It's
great
great.
though. I
It
would I
is
wish I could
great.
see him in other movies.
I think it's in the second one.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll kind of go over a little bit it's a prequel.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll talk about
prequel.
that one a little bit later towards the end, but at least what we can remember about it. But yeah, I love his shit talking in this movie, and that's another great example of it. But yeah, so David and Amy, they run and they hide in another room while pretty much the killers are kind of hiding the cop and the cop car and all this stuff. I guess just in case another cop shows up. David pulls another, what is it, rookie move, rookie mistake here. And he makes it look like Amy escaped out of the back window. Rips off a little piece of her shirt, breaks the glass, kind of hangs it on the glass, makes it look like she escaped. And he hides her up in the ceiling. And he pretty much tells her, like, you hide here. I'm going to go to the office and get that fucking gun. So there's a gun, there's like a pistol that is displayed behind
The
the
front
desk.
desk.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
front
front
desk, service
desk.
desk. He's tired of playing games, man. He's going for that pistol. He's had it, and he says, "Hey, you wait here, and I'm gonna go for this gun, and I'm gonna take care of these guys, and end this shit for all." And so he gets her up there, and she's hiding. She's kind of like looking down from like a crack or something in the ceiling, and soon as David opens the door, he gets a fucking knife to the gut.
Yeah, that sucked, man. I hated that. But I will, man, David is a fucking genius. Like, this idea of putting her up in the ceiling and faking her escape. Like, if I'm ever in a snuff film, I hope that David is there on my side. Because
Yeah.
this dude, I mean, he's fucking full of great ideas. Or
Yeah.
rookie moves, as they call them.
Yeah, rookie
As
moves.
some smug ass critic likes to call them.
Yeah, man, it comes as such a surprise because you're almost like riding on this high with him. Like he's getting it done. This is it. He's been through all this and he's tried all these different things, but he's got a good plan now. Like, I mean, maybe not going out the front door. That's probably not a good plan, but the rest of the plan is pretty solid. Like he's going for that gun, and it sounds like he's just gonna walk out in the parking lot, gun him down. He's just kind of had it, and I expected him to probably not make it to the gun. Did not expect him to make it one step towards the gun. Like as soon as you open the door, boom, they're there waiting. I wasn't expecting that. That's a really cool kind of take the wind out of your sails moment, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I like when movies aren't afraid to kill a main character or something surprising like that happen.
Yep. So now we're left with Amy, and see if Amy can really put it together like David has.
Yeah, it's time to step up, Amy.
Yeah, you gotta step up.
You've been getting dragged along this whole time.
Yep, you're not on the benches no more now. You're coming up to the big leagues. Can't ride David's coattails anymore. So Mason stands over David with a camera, and he's pretty much filming his face as he dies, and he's talking his shit. And Amy's watching this from the ceiling. Surprisingly, she's not up there making a ton of noise. Good thing there ain't no rats up there.
Yeah, thank God.
It's really surprising that they did not check to see if David actually died. They pretty much film his death. And then afterwards, they slam the camera shut. Like, he's dead. They start looking for her. No one bothers to check and see, well, is David dead?
They're probably in such a panic to try to find her and get out of there in case more police show up.
Yeah.
They're probably like, we just need to kill her. She's the other witness. She's seen us, and get the fuck out of here. That's the only thing I can think of is find her as quick as possible and everybody split before the police show up.
They've been off their game since the tunnel thing, for sure.
I don't think anybody's ever gotten that far on them. That's why.
And then the cop thing, the cop thing is really, even though they handled that pretty smooth, but the cop thing is definitely kind of throwing them off a little bit. But you would think somebody would check to see if David had actually died, But hey, he's bleeding. He's not moving. He's not talking. His eyes are closed. Dead enough for us, huh? So Amy hides up there until the morning, and then we finally come to a scene where she wakes up. Man, she falls asleep twice in this movie, 3 times if you include the beginning where she's sleeping in the car.
She's narcoleptic.
I guess
Man.
she's
And he
narcoleptic.
even makes the comment in the beginning when they're
She's on like a
arguing
medicine.
about them driving. He's like, "Well, I drove. You slept for 300 miles with your mix of like Valium and Prozac
Yeah,
or
yeah, some
something.
kind of
But you
medication or
slept the
something.
whole trip."
How do you sleep like at least twice during a life and death
I'm telling you,
situation?
the guy who wrote this had an actual wife. Like he had a real life wife. I'm
Oh
telling you,
man. Oh man, that's
they do
I
these
just
things.
noticed that. Like I just realized that like I just came to the conclusion that she slept twice within maybe like a 6 hour time frame of like people trying to murder her and them murdering her husband, and she went to sleep. But yeah, so we get the scene of the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and she's kind of waking up again. She decides it's time to get out of there. So she gets down and she spots their car kind of you know down at the end of the parking lot, and she decides, hey, we're gonna book it over to that car, and she's gonna jump in it, and she's gonna get the fuck out of here. And she hauls ass over to the car. She gets in there. As she's starting it, one of the masked men jumped, like you could see him kind of come from the back of the car, and he dives on top, like literally on top of this car from the back. And I love this part. He just punches through the fucking sunroof, like it's nothing. Like, what's some thick glass? What is some glass that's actually structurally part of the roof of the car? Couldn't possibly be that thick.
He's a mechanic.
He just like,
He knows where to punch
he
the
just
glass.
puts a hand right through there.
Yeah.
Maybe he had some what are they called? The fucking
If
metal knuckles.
yeah, brass
Brass
knuckles. Even
knuckles.
a ring, though. So
I
if
guess.
you hit glass at one particular spot, you can break it pretty easy. There's those videos of people like breaking into cars downtown. They'll take like a little metal ring or a little piece of metal and just barely pop it.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's a mechanic, man.
he like Thor punches through that fucking glass. But so he punches through the sunroof and comes down kind of right on top of her. Like, half his body's in the car, half of it's still hanging out. And she's driving. This causes her to lose control of the car. And she's kind of losing control. And as this is happening, the other killer is kind of standing in front of the hotel and just kind of watching what's happening. And all this is happening so fast, I don't think anybody really has time to react. She ends up crashing the car into the motel, but running him over at the same time. And the car kind of crashes like through the fucking wall. It goes through one wall and then slams into like the back wall, actually inside of the motel, and kind of pins one of the killers in between the wall and the car. The other killer dies, I guess, from, he's in a sunroof and he gets in a fucking wreck. I don't know how that kills you, breaks your fucking back so bad it
Sure,
kills you.
there's like 1,000 ways that could
Oh
kill
yeah,
you.
you probably broke a neck or something. But
I love this part though.
oh yeah, this part coming up is good stuff. So, she gets out of the car, and the one who's squished in between the wall and the car, he is freaking out. He's pretty much freaking out. He's dying. This is when she realizes that this is the mechanic from the night before that helped her and David. The one that fixed her car up, sent her on her way. And it kind of comes full circle that this whole thing has been in motion since even before they got to this motel.
Yeah.
They probably, they were probably dressed up as the raccoon.
Yeah.
They were the fan blade.
Yeah.
They bent themselves in
Yeah.
David's car.
I do love this. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie when they kind of look each other in the eyes as he's dying, and she actually ends up killing him with the car that he trapped him there with to begin with,
Full
that he
circle.
fucked up. Yeah, so I thought that was great. Her killing him with the car, and then them kind of locking eyes as he's dying. He's like gargling blood out on the hood.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I love that part.
That's good stuff. I can't, I'm not really 100% sure. I guess to some people, this is probably like, oh my God, like it's, oh man, that's the mechanic from before, but I think that we see his face before this reveal.
Yeah, I think they do show his face. It's just not super obvious
Yeah, it's
that
not
it's the
obvious.
mechanic.
It's not obvious. I think it's just for like, I'm pretty sure that it's the scene where they discover that they're in the tunnels and he's like, go after him. And remember, I said he puts his mask on. I think that's this where we see him, where he doesn't have his mask on. I'm pretty sure that's where we as the viewers actually get like a small reveal.
Yeah, you got to pay attention though to catch that
Yeah,
and put
yeah, yeah.
that together. I didn't the first time I ever watched the movie. I don't think I caught that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Now, obviously, the second time you watch it, you know he's in on it. But
Yes, man, that's such a good part. And the fact that she watches him fucking die is great. So there's this really cool kind of shot, these like two shots here in this movie at this point. So, once she gets out of the car and he dies, Mason's the only one left. And you see Mason, like there's all these connecting doors to these rooms because this is just like one long rectangle with a bunch of rooms separated into rooms and they're all connected. And you see all these doors are all open. I guess from them just like going through this place, like looking for them. And you see Mason kind of at one end of the building and he's like trying to get past all this broken shit, yelling, trying to get to her. And you get this long shot of like all the way down, like through, it's almost like a hallway, but it's just a bunch of fucked up rooms. And then you get the next shot, you get like this outside shot where it's kind of almost from like the service station of the motel, and you got the phone booth is fucking busted everywhere. You got the cop cars fucked up on the side. You got the BMWs crashed into the fucking front of the building. This fucking motel is tore the fuck up at this point. Like just from this one group of people trying to kill this other group of people, this building's fucked up.
yeah, you can see how out of hand this got for the killers.
Oh yeah, this is definitely
I love
way
that.
more than they thought.
That shot through the hotel. It's kind of like a hallway, but it's
I love
going through
that.
the different rooms because it really shows you the extent of how much they've tore this place apart looking for them over that course of time.
Oh yeah, and I mean it also shows you too, like, um, even though there's not like tons of action that happens in the movie, uh, when you look at it from like kind of like the end point, there, a lot of stuff went down, a lot of stuff happened. Even though you have a small amount of characters, still a lot of shit went down here, and it just shows the destruction of this building. Is a really cool shot to put in there, and I really like it. I fucking love cool camera shots. Part of the reason that I do this kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. The building being this fucked up kind of is like a snapshot of the story. I think
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
good way to put it.
But yeah, so at this point, Amy runs into the main office. She goes for the gun. She's going to David's original plan. She's piggybacking off of David. And she goes for the gun behind the desk. And as she's reaching for it, Mason comes up behind her with the phone cord, puts it around her neck, and he starts beating the shit out of her, man. This is not his first time beating the shit out of a woman.
No, he's pissed.
He is
But
upset.
I think he gets himself a little carried away.
He gets too into it. And as he's beating her and he's choking her, he's got the camera. He's talking shit to her, he's recording her, And I guess he's going to make her death extra terrible and record it because of all the trouble that she's caused him. And at one point, he grabs her and he like throws her across the room. And I guess what he doesn't realize is he actually throws her on this gun. And she lands on this gun and she immediately kind of rolls over and she points the gun at him and she goes to shoot him. But this is a gun where you actually have to like cock the hammer back and then pull the trigger. Like it won't fire unless you cock the hammer back. And, Mason sees this happen and he thinks it's funny because he thinks she's not going to know that you have to cock the hammer back. Like,
Gets a little
yeah,
cocky.
yeah,
Yeah.
he gets too cocky. And, he goes to pull his gun out from his hip and she figures out the hammer really quickly. And this is my favorite scene in the movie. So she fires him and the first shot hits him and he immediately breaks this giant fucking glass behind him. And it's one of those shots that you see all kinds of people get shot in movies, but one thing that you rarely see is that realistic, where does the bullet go after it hits somebody? Because most bullets do not just stop in a body. And rarely do you get like a team that does a movie like this and actually puts that the extra effort into something like that, because they could have easily got away with doing that scene and just having the squid pop, and then the fake blood like go off on his shirt or whatever, and then that could have been it, and 99% of people would have been fine with that. But they do this really cool extra realistic thing, and I don't know, it's stupid, but I really love it.
Yeah, the effects team definitely went that extra mile there. That little detail.
Well, it's like because you've seen it so many ways in so many other movies where somebody gets shot and the bullet kind of just stays in their body, or like nothing, you don't really ever see what happens to the bullet after it kills the person. And it's so surprising to see that glass break behind him. I think it's almost like for some people, for a lot of people, probably are like, why'd the glass break behind him? Yeah, this is
What it
great.
reminded me of is the freeze shot in House of a Thousand Corpses, where he shoots the cop through the head.
Oh,
No, he
yeah,
shoots
yeah,
the
yeah.
dad
That's
through the head.
super,
Was
super
it the
long.
dad? No, the cop.
It's the cop, yeah.
And so it freezes up, and you actually see in slow motion the bullet change direction slightly when it exits out of his head.
Yeah.
And
There's
I
just
always
smoke,
really,
too.
really loved that because it was that extra bit of realism. Bullets do, when they hit things, change their trajectory. And I always loved that scene, how it kind of changes. The exit wound kind of changes from the angle he was shot at. It's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it's such a great thing. It's just such a realistic thing, and I'm so glad they put that in there. It's such a little thing, but I think the little things are really important, especially in a movie like this. But yeah, she hits him. I think she shoots him 3 times, and he's shocked, I guess. So he's been bested. He is dying, and he doesn't even get a lot of time to really, I guess, even completely realize what has happened, because he dies pretty quickly. He falls down, and then you see 3 really big exit wounds on his back.
It's another detail one that the effects team put in there.
Yeah.
The exit wounds being much larger than the entrance.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. But yeah, now Mason's dead. That's it. That's all. They're all 3 dead. She runs over to David, and I guess she like touches his head or something, and all of a sudden, David comes back to life. He has risen from the dead.
Yeah, he's been. I guess he clawed it up. I guess he quit bleeding out.
Yeah, this is a part of the movie I hate. I'm not even like super mad that David, doesn't die. I'm not like, oh, well, David should have died. I just don't like how they did it. I would have liked it better if, we thought he was dead, and then they show like the ambulance getting there, and then all of a sudden the ambulance is like, oh, he's got a pulse. I would have settled with that, but the whole she touches his face and he comes back alive. I hate that.
Dramatic.
I hate that.
I will say 9 times out of 10, I would have been pissed that David lived.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
You know, I
Oh,
hate when that
I've
happens.
heard
Like
him. I've heard of many rants on Scream
yeah,
6.
yeah, way too many people would. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. Not enough people die. But yeah, normally 9 times out of 10, I would be pissed. But I liked David so much because of the smart thinking and the decisions he makes that I was okay with him living. I do agree that they should have did like a after scene of him being rolled away in the ambulance and him having a pulse or something, not him just waking up now that everything's over. But that's how movies do it.
Yeah. Man, when I go to rate this movie, there was a couple of things I had brought up that I wasn't like huge fans of, but I didn't knock the movie on any of that stuff. This is one thing that I actually do knock the movie when it comes to my rating, is because of this ending. I dislike this part so much. I don't knock the movie very much. It's a very tiny bit, but this is a negative part for me. Love 99% of the rest of the movie though. I really do like it. Just not a fan of. I mean, it almost feels like the original ending was she killed Mason and that was the end of the movie, and then like some studio executive was like, no, that doesn't go well with audiences. Go film the David being alive. Like that's what people want. So they had to
That
hurry up and film.
may
It's like
very
they
well
just
have
threw that
happened.
together.
I don't know.
Hate
I
it.
don't knock it on you. I don't hate it that clearly in the same way that you do.
Dude, I'm gonna
But
break my DVD later.
I do. I could see that happening. Like the movie, the end didn't screen well or something, so they went and kind of added to him living. I do like that she actually remembers the phone cord that
No, yeah.
the manager had, and she runs over there and this quick thinking and is able to use that to call 911. And it's kind of David's quick thinking saves her life throughout this whole movie, and at the end it's her quick thinking that essentially saves his life.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the movie. I mean, it pretty much ends after, David's resurrection. It looks like the marriage is saved. The lawyers will be sad. I guess the lesson here is a near death experience is all you need if your marriage is in trouble.
Yeah,
Just remember
fear will
that.
bring you together.
Yeah, we'll kind of jump into some facts, a little bit behind the scenes stuff. So unfortunately, Luke Willson often showed up late to set and very hungover and unprepared to film his scenes, which highly irritated Kate Beckinsale.
You can tell in the
Yeah, you
beginning
can
of the
tell.
movie.
You can tell.
It wasn't acting.
No, apparently it wasn't acting. Didn't really like each other very much.
That's such a bummer to
Oh man,
hear,
it
man. I
is.
hate that. Like, I
I really
absolutely
like
hate
Luke
because
Wilson.
I like, I like Luke Wilson, and I
Ah,
love the character of David. And then to find out behind the scenes that he was a complete fucking asshole during the filming of this movie, it's a bummer. Kind of wish I didn't hear that.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's more. Wilson actually refused to do his standoff camera and read lines for Kate Beckinsale scenes, and pretty much what that means for anybody that doesn't really know a lot about how things are shot is typically where the camera is primarily focused on one actor, but you only kind of see maybe the back or the side of another actor. The side actor, the actor who's not really in the shot, will kind of still show up to set and will still read the lines to pretty much add to realism and kind of help out their fellow actor who is kind of the center of the shot and who does have the lines. It just kind of helps out for realism. It helps acting when you're actually talking to the person that you've been filming this whole entire movie with. And so what occurred was Luke Willson would not. He basically was like, "Yeah, I'm not. If I'm not directly on camera, I'm not showing up." And he would send his stand-in. So anytime you see these scenes in this movie where it's kind of like Amy is like talking and she's kind of the main part of that shot, and you kind of see maybe like David's like arm or his leg or side of his head. Like there's one scene where they're kind of sitting on the bed in the motel and David goes to touch her leg and she pulls her leg back, but you don't actually see Luke Wilson's face. That's because that is not Luke Wilson. That is what they call his stand-in, which is somebody that kind of looks like him. And this pissed her off. And so eventually she started refusing to do her standoff camera scenes for him. And instead, she ended up sending a photo of herself with a note that said, "Read your lines to this. It will be better for the both of us." So it doesn't sound like that was like a really great partnership with this movie.
Yeah, like I said, I hate to hear that. That sucks. You like the character so much, it kind of bums you out when you hear behind the scenes that it was complete opposite sometimes.
Yeah,
It's a
it wasn't really
testament to
her. I don't.
testament to how good of actors they are, though.
Yeah, I don't blame her, man. That really sucks. Maybe that's something he's over now. I mean, I don't know, man. That seems like young guy behavior to me. Like something that man, I could see you
And he
doing that
had
if you're
a
like 20.
big head, or
Yeah, I don't
maybe
know.
he was going through a rough time at that time. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you never know. Hopefully other movies he's filmed, other people he's worked with, he hopefully he doesn't have that reputation with everybody, because I do really like seeing Luke Wilson in other movies. I'm trying to think. I don't think he's in any other like horror or thriller movies though. I think he's mostly in comedies.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing's coming to my mind for some reason. The only thing I could think of right now is like Old School. Anyway, the motel was actually specifically built for the film, and they actually crashed that fucking car into that building. None of that is CG. They built they and I believe they built the motel on like some old area, an old like film lot that I think they filmed like some Wizard of Oz stuff on.
hmm,
But yeah,
it's
but they ended up
interesting.
building the motel there.
So they did a fantastic job building a
Oh yeah.
seedy motel.
Oh yeah,
Give
absolutely.
them 10 out of 10 on that one.
Well, it was like really inspired by Psycho, the Psycho Hotel actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
the whole entire story is really kind of an ode to like Alfred Hitchcock and the whole Psycho thing, and you can really feel that vibe in this movie with the setting for sure. I mean, that's very similar to kind of the Bates Motel, kind of just a long line of square rooms in
It's
the
that
middle of nowhere.
old shitty motel vibe.
But yeah, they built that thing just for that. The director actually, he said that the set design did such a good job of making it feel gross that he would go home every day and feel like he needed to wash the motel off of him, because even though it was all new, like it just felt nasty. I thought it was really cool. So the writer, Mark L. Smith, got the idea for the film while traveling down to New Mexico with his wife, and they would pass like all these rundown motels, and he would always wonder like how they stayed in business, and they were kind of bored. And while they were on this road trip, and they kept seeing them, and he kind of came up with the idea that like maybe they kind of are killing people that like pass by through there and stay, and like that's how they're staying in business, because he never would see cars or anybody staying there. Yeah, kind of interesting way to come up with an idea. So
Yeah, very original
oh
idea.
yeah,
Very simple, but very original.
yeah,
Um,
I love the snuff film thing too. There's not many movies that touch on that. The only other movie that comes to my mind is like 8mm. I think these are the only two like snuff film movies that I can really think of. Another good movie too. So yeah, let's talk about the kills, and then I'll get into ratings. So technically, this film has 14 kills.
14
14 kills.
scenes.
That is,
The snuff films.
yeah, that's,
Okay.
yeah, 14
Okay.
if you
Yeah. Threw me
include,
off there. I was like,
yeah,
I know I didn't fucking miss half the movie.
yeah, yeah, it's 14 kills if you include all the people from the snuff films. But without the snuff films, it's 4.
Okay.
You only got 4.
That's more like it.
Yeah. Got a favorite kill?
Outside of the snuff films that were done really, really good, thought all of them were great. I'm gonna say the the mechanic. The
Yeah,
mechanic
it's good.
getting cut in half by the car, or just about cut in half by the car. Him gargling the blood out. There's that one shot of him just like gargling blood out, and it splashes down on the hood. And those two look at each other, and she realizes it. That's my favorite kill.
Yeah, this movie has like very little blood actually in it. I think that's one of the things it's always been praised for by the critics, is it was, a horror thriller movie that didn't really rely on blood and, special effects. It really relied on the story, the characters, the acting, pretty much everything that, like, say, Freddy and Jason don't have.
It's like the original Halloween, though. That's what
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was.
yeah.
That was
Kind of,
supposed to be
yeah.
such a good movie. It was supposed to scare you in a way that it didn't need that blood and gore. And although I prefer to see Michael Myers with the blood and gore, it was still the original such a good movie. You don't need those things. So it kind of felt like they were playing off of that. And I thought they did a fantastic job. It's a testament to the amazing acting that's in it, to have such a good movie on such little actors, such few sets, and it's such a simple story.
Yeah, we here at the Syndicate very much support blood and guts in movies, though.
Absolutely,
Do not ever get it confused. We
it's the
we
best
we,
part.
we love it. I mean, for this kind of movie, that wouldn't be right, but we definitely lean more towards the bloodier the better.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
that's why I said outside of the snuff films,
yeah,
because the snuff films was by far the best killing of the
yeah.
movie.
Yeah, interesting thing about the snuff films. Number one, all the snuff films were actually filmed on the first day of filming, and then number two, if you get the DVD copy of the movie, one of the special features is actually all the snuff films in their entirety. So if you want to watch those, that's where you can find them.
Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah,
Good shit.
they filmed them all the way through. I can't remember if I've seen them or not.
Yeah,
I want to say I
they're on the
have.
DVD.
Yeah, I want to say I have. I want to, if I can remember right, like 5 minutes a
Yeah,
piece or something.
they're not
That's
super
not
long. I
super
think
long,
they're
but
even shorter than that.
yeah, but yeah, definitely cool. Definitely check them out. And if you're into this movie, it's cool to kind of see what David was seeing. You want to talk
You
about?
did what your favorite kill?
Oh, my favorite kill's Mason.
Okay,
Man, I love that
I seen
fucking.
that coming.
God damn, I love
That
that
bullet,
fucking car
that
though. I
extra.
love that car, but
Yeah,
that
the
bullet,
car
that
is
bullet
good
does it
too.
for me. That bullet is, man, that way. For one, it's Mason. I like to see him get his in the end, and for two, I love the realism of the gunshots, and the breaking the glass in the background. Yeah, that's my favorite one. I really like that car wreck though.
Yeah,
That's good
the
too.
car was good.
It's really good. It's definitely a close second, but if I had to pick one, I would go with the Mason kill. So it's one of the scenes I look forward to in the movie. You got anything else for you before we want to go on to ratings?
No, let's
No?
do it. We'll wrap up on ratings.
All right. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
I'm gonna rate this a 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, this is a good movie. It is kind of I want to say it's almost a comfort movie for me. Like I'm not gonna quite say it's 100% a comfort movie for me, but it is a movie where if I don't feel like doing that thing where you kind of scour on Netflix for 45 minutes trying to find something to watch, if I know I want to watch a horror movie, but I don't want to watch, like a slasher, blood and guts, I want to watch something kind of smart and mature, but I know is entertaining and kind of just I feel like people are going to be pissed if I call it like a classic, but it's a classic, I think, for my age range. Because I mean, this movie came out when I was, like 17, 18, maybe something like that. 17 or 18, maybe 18.
I think it is, like you're saying, great to watch if, say, you got somebody coming over or something. It's a movie that you can watch that you don't have to worry about if you're talking or you
Oh,
miss
yeah.
a part that it's going to ruin the whole movie for you. You're going to miss something super important. It's just a good classic movie
Yeah.
to sit down and watch.
You know what else is great about this movie, too, is it's a kind of movie that, say you get somebody that doesn't, necessarily like really into horror movies, but you guys want to watch like a movie. It's kind of like a compromise kind of movie where it's got some famous faces in it. It's got some good actors and actresses in it that a lot of people know. It's been in a lot of stuff. You don't have to worry about the person like, I don't want to watch gore. I don't want to watch blood. And I don't, this is kind of like an all around just movie that people can just really watch. You don't have to be a hardcore horror fan to really enjoy this movie. But yeah, I give it a 3.5. I would rate it a little bit higher. I really wanted to go to 3.7, but I got to deduct a little bit because I don't like that, very, very end. But I am very content with that 3.5 rating.
So I'm going to say 3.8 out of 5.
Man, going with the 3.8.
3.8, yeah. I thought the acting was absolutely fantastic.
Mm.
Normally, I have the tendency to root for the bad guys, but Luke Wilson plays David so good, it makes you want to see him win. Yeah, I think that part's fantastic. And then just the decisions that he makes, he does everything right. He does everything like if you were in that situation, you would do the same things he did. And that's rare in a horror movie. You don't see that very often. And also, one thing that's not mentioned much is the pace, man. I love the pace of this movie. It gets right into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Pacing's great.
yeah, that's one thing. Like, it's not a slow burn. It jumps straight into it. If it's one of those movies where you're with somebody, you got somebody coming over, a significant other, it doesn't matter. If you want just a fun horror movie to sit down and watch that gets straight into it, that doesn't have a lot of character building in the beginning, kind of does that as the movie gets going right off the rip. I love that. So small cast, simple story, but great acting overall. I give it a 3.8.
All right.
Definitely a good watch.
Well, a 3.5 and a 3.8 from us. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have seen it, clean the dust off of it and watch it again. It's definitely a movie to kind of pull out every couple years and give it a rewatch. It may surprise you. It's just that movie.
Especially if you have plans to go stay at a seedy motel
Oh
anytime
yeah.
soon. Definitely give this a watch first.
Yeah, I want to watch this before my next road trip, which is probably a terrible idea, but I kind of do.
Yeah.
And we'll watch out for was it a raccoon?
Yeah, even just driving out in the mountains.
I'll
Yeah,
check,
long trip.
make sure that my fan blades are
Not
straight,
bent. Yeah, yeah.
very straight.
Make sure you get a level and straighten those fan
Yeah.
blades out.
But yeah, so that's gonna be it for Vacancy. What are we gonna do next? You got an idea what movie we're gonna do next? We're gonna do.
I don't know. What are we gonna
We're
do
gonna
next?
do. We're gonna do The Faculty next.
Faculty.
The Faculty.
I like it.
That's another hard hitter from our youth. I guess that's how you say it. That's how the kids say it nowadays.
Any possible plans on a Vacancy 2 one day?
Oh yeah. Let's talk about Vacancy 2 real quick before we get out of here. So yeah, we do want to cover Vacancy 2 at some point. Vacancy 2 is not a sequel, it is a prequel, and I actually have it.
Prequels are great because everybody dies.
Well, not everybody, because all the good people die.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's everybody.
So yeah, it is a prequel, and Mason is of course in it, and it kind of shows how this kind of whole thing starts, I guess. How this whole situation, gets it going, kind of why he goes down the path that he goes down. And man, it was like a straight to DVD, but fuck, it was good. Like, what a good, I can't believe more people don't talk about it or know about it. I don't think many people do know about it. But yeah, because it doesn't have any like big name, it doesn't have any big name people in it. It doesn't have a Luke Willson or Kate Beckinsale in it. Did not go to theaters, I don't think. The DVD's really hard to find. And I've never seen it on like TV or anything.
No,
I've never seen
I've
it streaming.
So you have the second one. I've looked for Vacancy 2. I have a big horror movie collection. Obviously, you know that. I look everywhere I go. I have a list of movies that I need to get. That's one of them on the list. And in years and years and years of looking through all types of places, still haven't found it. So I assume the internet is where you go when you can't find something.
The web.
I'm going to have to get it from the internet.
The World Wide Web will have it.
Yeah, they have everything.
They have everything. It might
even snuff films.
Might be expensive.
I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can find those too.
Yeah, but yeah. So we definitely want to cover Vacancy 2 down the road. Yeah, I'd say we're definitely going to do it at some point. It deserves to be talked about, I believe. And shit, I haven't seen it in probably fucking 6 years, 5 years. I don't even know. So many years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but definitely want to do it. But the next one is going to be The Faculty, a Robert Rodriguez film. So yeah, tune in for that one. Come check us out again. And that's going to be it for us. You got anything else you want to add before we head out?
Nope.
All right, well, thank you for listening, and we'll check you out. Later.